following up on yesterday, and Jerod Mayo basically saying there's a wake-up call coming this week, and guys will be benched, changes will be made. There will be changes in the starting lineup. I think we're getting our first hint of where one of those changes is coming, and that is with the rookie receiver Jaylen Polk, who I believe has started 5 of the last 6 games.
I think that's right.
If I'm not mistaken, or started the last 5 maybe. He didn't start in week 1, but has started since, and has struggled with drops, and etc. And so Jaylen Polk is sort of the first domino to fall on this. Does that mean he doesn't play? Who knows? Lighten the load. Spread the responsibility, lighten the load a little bit. You have a thought before I get going on it?
I'll just say that I think clearly something is coming in terms of guys being taken out of the lineup. And Polk's an easy one to pick because he's played poorly, dropped balls that he shouldn't be. He's not the only one, by the way. There are other guys at other positions, and I'm happy to share names with you of guys that I think.
I do want names, but finish the Polk thought.
So to me, he's a fair target at this point, pardon the receiving pun, but he has not played well. So now I don't know how many mental mistakes have been made with Polk versus physical mistakes, but the coaching staff can speak to that. If he's running the wrong route, he's not blocking guys he should block or chipping on guys. So, but whoever it is, players there need to be held accountable now. They've reached that point. I don't think there's any question. And if he's one of them, I have a hard time arguing in his defense.
Another guy that was involved that was also a mess this past week was Austin Hooper. I bet he gets his ass benched. You know, there's guys you can't rely on in that passing game right now. That's 2 of them. Jaylen Polk, Austin Hooper, who again had maybe the worst fumble I've ever seen in my entire life watching football.
Okay, so, all right, go ahead. Since Murray started, give me other names, Mazz.
So I had said to you, I'd think about Michael Onwenu. I think his play has been relatively poor, especially if he came into camp in bad shape and the money he's making given the contract during the offseason. I heard a good one from Joe Murray on the ride home last night that I didn't consider, and he's right. Joe's right. Keon White.
Yes.
Keon White is another one. Keon White has had flashes, but he's also given up the edge, and he has been what I would call a selfish defender. He's been undisciplined. He has made clearly an effort to get after the quarterback at the expense of the run game, and it has hurt them at times. And so I would say overall, net, he's probably been more of a negative than a positive, given the fact that they've given up almost 400 yards rushing in the last 2 games.
Okay, so if Mayo wants to send a wake-up call, his words, then the players he benches have to be prominent guys. I
agree.
Right?
Yeah, I would go after someone with some time in the league.
Well, so like however we define this, but it has to be, actual guys that send the message. So like, for example, Andrew Callahan in the Herald went over who he thinks would be a candidate to be sat and why. He says defensively, there's a clear candidate for Mayo's upcoming changes, and that's Raekwon McMillan. McMillan has been at the center of most of the Patriots' breakdowns in run defense, including a 59-yard run and 20-yard touchdown run allowed against Houston. Not far down that hard hitters list is Christian Ellis, who impressed new linebackers coach Dante Hightower this summer with his physicality. Ellis, a former special teamer, is fast, physical, yet he also yet to miss a tackle in 70 defensive snaps. Hold on, I cut that off. Ellis, a former special teamer, is fast, physical, and already working as the Patriots' lone linebacker in dime personnel packages. He's also yet to miss a tackle in 70 defensive snaps. So maybe he's saying, look for Ellis to replace McMillan this weekend or next. I'm sorry. So I thought he had Ellis on the cut list. Just the opposite. Look for Ellis to replace McMillan this weekend or next, as free agent addition Seon Taki ramps back up after recently returning from the physical. Okay. Does replacing Raekwon McMillan with Christian Ellis send any message?
No.
Not particularly. No.
So that was a long-winded, fumbling way to get to the point, which is it's not going to – there's no wake-up call by sitting Raekwon McMillan, who I am sorry, most of us have kind of lost track of exactly who that is and what he does. Raekwon McMillan. Okay, so like that's not – It's got to be someone who is a figure in the locker room, makes a lot of money, was a high draft pick, any of the above, right? So, or a prominent player heretofore, previously. So it's like, yes, Keon White's a good one. That's an ascending star, big figure on the defense, been playing, undisciplined. a part of how all these big runs that they've been giving up. Keon White sends a message. Raekwon McMillan doesn't send a message. Keon White sends a message. Michael Onwenu, after that maybe the highest paid guy on the team currently.
I think he is.
Or just about.
Yeah.
Right? Like that sends a message. Does Mayo have the stones to do that?
No. I don't. No. I don't think.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't say it that definitively. I don't think. But if he was looking to make an example, to say that no one is safe, we all have to compete on a weekly basis and keep our jobs and play well, then those would be the guys I'd go after. I'd go after guys who have some cachet in that locker room, whether they're captains or not, but I would say primary or prominent players. Those guys are the guys you got to go get. So you got to single out someone who you say, well, that guy isn't pulling his weight. And I don't think Onwenu and Keon White are pulling their weight. I just picked them off the top of my head. We could, but by the way, on this list, we could probably rattle off 6 or 8, like easily. So there are a lot of guys that aren't playing well. I don't think Duggar has played all that great.
Okay, so now we're talking. Like, yes, there's a ton of guys not pulling the weight, but if you suck, what's the diff? Okay, so benching Caden Wallace or I forget the guys who are on the offensive line.
Right.
There's new names every week. How the hell can you remember them?
No. The guys that aren't pulling their weight that have some sort of that carry some weight.
Some name equity here.
That's what you need to send a message.
Absolutely. You got to go after someone who's got a profile.
Will Dietrich Wise about him?
So that's another one that Andrew Callahan points out. Team captain, Dietrich Wise.
Sure.
What the hell's he done since the beginning of the season?
Okay, the only thing is I would say that based on what I've watched, I don't think that Dietrich Wise is doing the wrong things. Can I say that? Like, I don't know if there's a real reason to do it with Dietrich Wise. So now all I'm saying is try to pick someone whose play has been lackluster. I'm not saying he's been great.
Right.
But has he been undisciplined? Like, the big thing to me is undisciplined.
Here's what Callahan writes about Dietrich Wise. One sleeper candidate to see fewer snaps. Wise. The defensive captain is one of the team's lowest graded defenders at Pro Football Focus and is only averaging around 1 pressure per game. Never regarded as a strong run defender, Wise already lost the starting job to Keon White, who started every game this season after Wise made 13 starts and 16 appearances a year ago. White bounced back from an ugly 2-game stretch with 3 pressures last Sunday. If he takes any more penalties, as he did against Miami with the horse collar and then the roughing the passer, White could also be at risk of seeing fewer snaps. Bottom line, at 1-5, Mayo may not be messing around anymore. Okay, I'd say too late. And the way this has gone this season and the problems that they have with the players, and there are problems with players on the field and off, really has come sooner than maybe even I thought. From the second Jerod Mayo was hired and I started hearing him talking, I said, this just has shades and overtones of Pete Carroll, which I do not consider a success. I consider that a sort of a template for what not to do. I typically don't believe in players' coaches. I'm leery of it. I'm leery of the approach. I hate being told that now kids today need to be coddled and there has to be a different approach. I'm just leery of it. Especially in football. Well, so anyway, here we are with Jerod Mayo telling us this ridiculous crap early on. You reach them as men or reach them as people or develop love and trust before you start coaching them hard. Well, how's that working out? Because I don't think it's making any impact on the roster, on the field or off. They're undisciplined on the field. It's real loose, with the football adjacent stuff, which I'll explain in a second. And off the field, it feels like we're getting to one thing or the next. One thing after the next. And now in week 7, here comes the wake-up call. I'm going to hold guys accountable. Too late. Or I worry that it's too late. Maybe it's not. We'll see. Pete tried it in year 3. You remember when Pete showed up in year 3 and all of a sudden I'm going to, Pete, what are you doing, dude? So now this comes in week 7 or wherever we are here.
6.
Too late. But we'll see. We'll see because, 1, I think how Mayo wants to do things has already been established. And 2, he might have just been handed a roster that's way too immature. And I'll circle back to Jaylen Polk. I sent you the story. You hear what Jaylen Polk said to Mass Live yesterday? So Jaylen Polk, again, he's coming off back-to-back. I'm reading now from Mass Live. The Patriots rookie's coming off back-to-back tough performances where he caught 2 passes on 10 targets. How's that for a percentage?
Low.
After the receiver caught 1 pass on 4 targets last weekend, Patriots head coach Jerod Mayo said the rookie needed to, quote, get over this mental hump, end quote, and eliminate the drop passes. Get over this mental hump. On Wednesday, while speaking to Mass Live, Polk said his head is clear and his hands are one of his strongest assets. Quote, I'm not dealing with any mental problems at all. No mental problems. Okay, so first of all, he didn't say you had mental problems. He said he has a mental hump.
Right, it's like a slump.
It's an expression. Okay, it's an expression. Just like there's a mental hurdle that you have to overcome. He's not saying you have mental problems. Okay, so like that first thing, just sort of like, just relax. Just he's not saying you're mental. It's an expression, right? Okay, mental hurdles that everyone has to overcome on the football field. So first of all, I'm not mental. No mental problems, Polk said. All right, got it. When asked about the recent drop passes, Polk said, I believe I have the best hands in the league. So I feel like my drops, that's not an issue at all. Best hands in the league? Best hands in the league, this kid. And it's not an issue at all after getting, according to Pro Football Focus, Polk has 2 drop passes and 23 targets this season.
So I was just going to say, not all of his incompletions are drops.
So like the thing against the Dolphins probably doesn't go down as a drop pass, but he's got to get his feet in.
Yeah, right.
That was a missed opportunity. I don't know what they call it at PFF. I don't care. That's on him.
Yeah.
But nope, I believe I have the best hands in the league. My drops, not an issue at all. Okay. After starting the first game on the bench, Polk was inserted into the Patriots starting lineup. He started 5 of the first 6 games of his NFL career. After a rough 2-game stretch, it remains to be seen if Polk will remain in the starting lineup. When asked if he was eager to prove himself, Polk said he was, quote-unquote, limited in what he was able to do on the field. Quote, I feel like I'm limited to what I can really do right now, Polk said. I mean, just continue to keep a good mindset and getting better. When asked to clarify, Polk responded, I wouldn't say anything specific. I'll just say I'm limited on certain things right now. So now he's blaming the scheme or the coaching or what they're asked him to do. So best hands in the league, drops aren't a problem, and
it's someone else's fault.
I'm
going
to insert this last thing. They're limiting me in what I can do.
Yeah,
because that's how that comes across.
Excuses, right? I was even thinking, like, I don't know, did he roll an ankle and he can't get out of breaks quick? Or
that's not what you know.
But whatever it is,
I don't think that's it.
There's no accountability there of, look, I haven't been playing great. I need to play better.
Van Pelt was asked this today, and he gave a long answer about certain things about playing the X versus the Y or inside or being isolated. On one side of when we go 3-by-1, he's the one on the other side with the one-on-one coverage and blah. So Van Pelt went into it. Didn't say anything about physical limitations. Sort of mentioned how he's being used, and that was in conjunction with the thing that he said before about we've put a lot on him, and he's being treated as the number one. Van Pelt said he's been treated as the number one in our progressions, and he gets that solo look when we're 3-by-1. I'm paraphrasing some of this. So it's a scheme. It was quite clearly a scheme thing. So this all goes back to, and I'll have more on the Barmore thing and the off-field stuff. I think they got a huge maturity issue down there, which would be the kindest way to put it, which would be the nicest way to put it, is that they're just immature and they'll grow into it, which is the most optimistic way I can put it. Because I think there's a bunch of guys on there who just do not get it. And Mayo's approach is not helping. But here we go. Here comes the wake-up call. What do you think?
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.